Let's kick things off here, Adam, with kind of the news du jour so far of the last few days, which is a promo over at ESPN Bet that raised a lot of eyebrows.
I'm not going to talk a lot about this. I'm going to kick it back to you because I know you've been in the middle of this too. But the long and short of what we're talking about here is ESPN Bet having some boosted odds, and more importantly than the boosted odds, some alt lines available, and maybe more important than all of it, no real cap apparently on how much you could bet on the Ravens and Texans game. That's where this became a real issue. And there were a lot of questions about why is ESPN offering these options and Penn Entertainment behind the ESPN Bet logo. Why have they moved and offered a Ravens 10.5 number that is super juicy at the price? Why is it boosted as much as it is? Why has it moved the way it has? I'm going to stop there and let you get into this a little bit more, because there are a lot of questions out there about what the strategy was here, and I'm still not 100% convinced there was a strategy, but I'm going to leave that to you first.
Yeah, I don't want to speculate either on it all. I'm sure you've read all of the rumors and stuff that I have, and all of the people guessing that, okay, was this a promotional stunt? Was this whatever? Was this them kind of trying to get off of a position? Was this, there's all kinds of different stuff, none of it being confirmed. So I don't know. I don't really get it, but at the very least, like, odds boosts, as we know, we talked about them a ton here on the podcast, are nothing new, right? There's odds boosts all the time, but typically these odds boosts, even the most juicy of odds boosts, like, maybe they'll let you get down a couple $100, right? I mean, most of them are capped at $100 or $50. And if they're like super, super odds boost, they might let you get down $25. And it's more of just a fun type deal because they're giving you a massive, massive edge on what the actual bet should be. So like, they're like, okay, whatever, we'll let you put $25 down. If we're to believe what the reporting is, and again, you and I don't live in an ESPN Bet state, so we were not able to check this out ourselves, and all that's like that 7 figures were able to have been bet on these bets. And again, this is all reporting. I do not have anyone that firsthand was able to take advantage of this. I don't know, but the reporting seems as if there were 7 figures that were able to be put on these bets. And what was happening is the odds boosts were so high that you were able to create an arbitrage situation. And if you're not quite sure what that is, it's basically you can bet both sides of a bet and guarantee a profit. There's no way to lose money on a bet because of the way that the odds are set up. And so that was the case in this. And so there were a lot of people who were going out and they were betting this and then heading to other sports books and heading to betting exchanges and heading to all of that and making sure that they got down a bunch of money on the other side of the bet and basically locking in lots of profit. And given the number that ESPN apparently was allowing you to bet, Adam, I know arbors, you've heard of arbors before. Look, they're grinders, and like, you got to grind and listen, it can be profitable, right? But typically you're grinding out $100, $150, $500, like 400, 300, like here and there. These people were able to make thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars with these arbitrage opportunities, given the amount of money that you were able to bet on all these. So this is kind of a once in a lifetime type situation for these guys that knew what they were doing and going in and taking advantage of all of this. And so it was odd. And as you mentioned, we don't really know the reason behind it. There's been nothing said yet officially. No spokesperson has come out and said, this is why we did this or anything, but I'm kind of with you. I don't know if there was a strategy. It seems to me maybe like a decision was made without really fully thinking it through, and then you get what we have here, which is a bunch of people that were able to make a whole bunch of money for free.
Yeah, and most people have heard it called an ARB. It's been referred to as a scalp. It's referred to as synthetic hold. Like, there are ways to create these two-sided markets in which you have no way to lose. And Matt, you just hit the nail on the head. It's the size of the ARB that was available here that is just remarkable if you had the bankroll to be able to accomplish it. And that in particular feeds into one of the most important points when we start doing the detective work as to why this existed. Because those who say it was a promotional play, here's the problem with that. If it's a promotional play, you're not trying to bring in the type of bettor who is going to be able to scalp you for $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 at a time.
That's why I can't get there, right? It's kind of like the person who even knows how valuable that bet was is already betting. It doesn't to me seem like that resonates to the casual bettor.
No, and so I don't think you're doing some sort of galaxy brain thing looking for the coverage that comes out of this 2 days later. You want people on your app at the time of the bet. That's why the bet, in theory, is there. So, and I want to give credit, by the way, fully. I think Adam Levitan from Establish the Run, who you know, had laid out a pretty good set of circumstances here on all of the different possibilities. I just think the one possibility that was left out is that someone didn't fully think through not capping the boost. And I don't think it's impossible. I'm not saying anybody was stupid or dumb or didn't do their job, but it seems pretty egregious that we're talking about a boost on either a money line or a boost on a point spread, because that's typically not where we've seen a lot of these, right? Like modern odds boosts that we see tend to be this 3-leg parlay is boosted from plus 500 to plus 600, right? That's more of what tends to be out there, not these interesting synthetic hold kind of markets. And when I'm talking about like Ravens 10.5 plus 140, that's not so far off market that you need to offer plus 140 to come get it. And I think Jeff Benson from Circa laid out that case essentially and said, look, it's not crazy, but the price is, right? And you don't need to necessarily do that. And I think when we talk about the regulated market in particular, Matt, there is real question about whether this is signal or noise, because what has been the biggest criticism of the regulated market from the sports betting Twitterati? No one will take a bet. We can't get any money down. Well, you sure could this weekend.
So that is and listen, just present all sides here. That is another side of this that I've heard, which is if it was some sort of promotional thing, and like we just said, it certainly wasn't geared towards the casual bettor, that it was some sort of basically promotional deal that was actually geared towards the high volume bettors and the bigger bettors, because they had been run out of what was formerly Barstool. We heard about all the limits and we heard about all of the stuff that was going on over there. And then maybe this was like, hey, look, now that we're not, this anymore, we're taking bigger bets. I don't necessarily get there either with all, I don't really get there either. I heard that as being kind of floated around. I'm kind of like, that's something that can be done with like a simple email. I don't think you really have to do that. It's like if you're catering to like big bettors, be like, hey, by the way,
that's a VIP host thing.
Yeah, it's like, hey, we're taking 6-figure bets again, right? Like, whatever. Like, it's like, sorry that things went south the first time. We'd like to welcome you back. Hey, we're taking 6-figure bets again. So like, that's a more personal type thing than like this. So I get it. Like everyone's trying to figure things out, and so I'm not faulting anybody for floating theories or whatever, because hell, that's what we do. And until we actually figure out what the true logic and reasoning behind it is, there's going to be more of them. But yeah, that was one that went around where I was kind of like, I see where you're going with all that, but that also doesn't really add up at the end of the day.
No, I feel like we're at the point where we're talking about Drew Brees getting hit by lightning here in terms of how deep down the hole we are trying to figure out like what actually is going on. Like we don't know. To your point, Matt, I think a VIP host is probably a better way to communicate. We're taking limits like than we used to be, different than we used to be. And I think also you could probably get that done if you want that kind of publicity. You could probably get one of your casino whales and let them get that kind of money down and get that kind of publicity if that's what you want, and not get this type of action from very sharp bettors. Because the flip side to what you just said is if you throw the doors open and say, we're going to take these kind of bets, and next week you don't, and next week the limits come back down, you have lost all the value of this in the first place, right? Like if you then come back and someone gets cut to being able to bet 500 aside, then what was the point?
Yeah, it's super interesting. I mean, I'm assuming at some point we'll figure it out. I figure somebody will say something about whatever. But until that happens, it's interesting. Certainly some stuff that a lot of people, in the bubble, and then this is one of those kind of in the bubble things, which is also why I don't look at it as more of a promotional type deal, because no casual bettor even knew about it, right? I mean, it's more of everybody who would notice, oh, what an advantage that is, and those aren't the guys that you're getting to kind of sign up on your side over there. So I can't wait to get the actual real story when it's all